What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports Life Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, and I'm here for the sports news. And the NBA playoffs are finally upon us. It has been a very, very long regular season. Some say the NBA season is too long. I used to disagree, but at this point I agree. It drags out for far too long. After 70 games, you pretty much know who's who. We don't need 80 plus games to figure out who's the best teams in the NBA. They did at the play-in, which added a small piece of excitement, but we don't need 80 plus games to figure out who the movers and shakers are in the NBA and who has a chance to win the NBA championship. Now, we have a first round matchup of the Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves, they had a young gun, Jalen McDaniel, punched the wall right before the playoffs and broke his hand. Now, that's going to hurt Minnesota a lot. He's a power forward slash a small forward wing. He can score, he can play defense, and he's multifaceted. Now, the Denver Nuggets have who I think is the best player in the NBA. Nikola Jokic, nicknamed the Joker. The man's a walking triple-double. He can pass like a guard, he can shoot, he can post. There's not anything he can't do offensively. Now, he is somewhat of a defensive liability, but rebounding is part of defense, and he's an excellent rebounder. Minnesota Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. They have a very young team with a lot of talent, but the team seems slightly disjointed. Obviously, if you watch basketball and keep up with this game, there was a fight between Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson. Well, I don't say a fight, but, Rudy Gobert kind of punched him in the chest on the sideline. Is that something that happens on teams? Absolutely. But on the sideline during a game, that's pretty rare. And that's something that you don't want to have. But the Denver Nuggets, they have a lot of talent. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. I think they're going to be a little bit too much for Minnesota, but this should be a really good series. Both of these teams have defensive lapses at times where they just give up a whole lot of points and just get blown out of the water. So don't be surprised you don't see 2 or 3 games out of this series that are complete blowouts, going each way too. I wouldn't be surprised. But I do like the Denver Nuggets in 6. Let's get on to this next matchup, which is one of the most intriguing matchups in all of the playoffs. You have the Phoenix Suns with newly arrived Kevin Durant, Chris Paul. You got Booker. You got Ayton. They have a extremely veteran team who's ready to win now. Who was in the NBA Finals last year against the Milwaukee Bucks? Not the Milwaukee Bucks, but not last year, but the year before last against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they got outed in 7 games against the Mavericks last year. But this is a team that it's like it's win now or it's pretty much over because Chris Paul is at the end of the road. Kevin Durant is 35. Booker is young, so he still has time. But Ayton, I don't know if Ayton really wants to be in Phoenix. So it's interesting for Phoenix to see how this whole thing plays out. But the Clippers, for sure, I thought going in had a legit chance at winning the championship. But this team is goddamn me snake bitten. Paul George is out. Is Paul George coming back this series? I have no idea. He has a leg injury. So we don't know. With Paul George there, this was a 7-game series. I'm still leaning that this could be a 7-game series with all this talent if Paul George can come back. But if Paul George doesn't get back, there's no way they're going to be able to beat Kevin Durant and Booker and Paul and Ayton. It's just going to be a little bit too much. And looking at this series, I have to lean towards Phoenix. As much as I want to pick the Clippers, just having Paul George out, I think it's going to be a little bit too much. I like the Clippers. I like the Phoenix Suns in 6, but I like the Clippers to be fighting this whole series. They might even go up a game, you know what I mean, just to make it look like they can win it. But this is going to be a close series. So if the Clippers was able to pull it out, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm picking Phoenix in 6. This next series is probably going to be the most exciting series in all of the playoffs as far as scoring wise and excitement. You have the Sacramento Kings, the upstart Sacramento Kings, who've been drafting at the top of the draft for the past goddamn 10 years. And they finally got it and put it all together. And De'Aaron Fox is a fringe MVP caliber player. I ain't saying he was in the MVP race, but fringe. He's almost there. He was putting on an absolute show this year. De'Aaron Fox was spectacular in every way, shape, and form. He just really was. He came to play. And they added a new rookie, Murray, who can shoot the lights out. He has a real slow release, but he is deadly accurate from deep. The Sacramento Kings have a lot of young talent. They added Malik Monk in the offseason. They got Sabonis at center, who they got from Indiana in the Halliburton trade. They are extremely talented. Now you have the wily old veteran, the defending champs. The team who everybody says everybody should be scared of is the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga. The list goes on and on. Extremely talented. But this team also was extremely disjointed this year. They never could quite put it all together. But they're playing a very young and inexperienced team in the Sacramento Kings. But for some reason, I think the Sacramento Kings are going to win this series. Because something's telling me this is the last season Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, and Draymond Green will ever play together. I got the Sacramento Kings somehow, some way, pulling this out in 7 games at home in Sac. Sacramento Kings in 7. Now, we got the biggest dog fight. The Memphis Grizzlies, 2 seed. Los Angeles Lakers, 7 seed. Lakers made a trade at the right before the All-Star break, and they brought in some real talent. Vanderbilt, Beasley. I mean, they really went out and added some real deal pieces to the team that helped help the belly, the gut of the team, to give it some fight. And obviously you got LeBron James. Obviously you got Anthony Davis. You have those 2 pieces. You obviously know that those guys are going to come and play every night. But Anthony Davis is one of those guys who you never know when he'll end up in street clothes. So that's always scary. But the Memphis Grizzlies was John Morant, Jared Jackson Jr., you got Baines. This team, they have a lot of talent too. So this is going to be the ultimate dogfight. The Memphis Grizzlies have become the villains of the NBA at this point. Everybody loves to hate Memphis at this point. And they did it to themselves because I think they took on that energy of wanting to be the bad guy. John Morant is playing thug. Dylan Brooks trying to turn himself into the Dennis Rodman of the league. And, Jared Jackson Jr. might be defensive player of the year. He's an all-star now. So this team is loaded from top to bottom. And the Lakers are going to make this a fight. They are. If the Lakers can make it past Memphis, the Lakers are going to the Western Conference Finals. But they have to get past Memphis. Do I think they will? No. I got Memphis in 6. But this will be a good series and a fight. But I just think Memphis is too much. They got too much grit, too much talent. They have playoff experience now. If they lost this will be absolutely devastating to the Memphis Grizzlies. They'll never be the same. Yeah, they can't lose this. So, young teams can lose in the playoffs, but you can't be a top seed. Last year, you was one of the best teams. And then you come this year and then you lose to a 7 seed. You can't do it. So I do like Memphis to make it out of this series. So I got them playing Sacramento in the second round. But let's move over to the East. Milwaukee versus the Miami Heat. Now, Chris Middleton is not playing in this first game. I don't know if he's playing in this series. That remains to be seen. But that's going to give the Heat a little bit more of a chance. How much of a chance? I don't know, but at least a little bit more of a chance. Obviously, Antetokounmpo every year could win the MVP. He's the MVP candidate again this year. But the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero, Butler, Bam Adebayo, those are their top three guys. In order for the Miami Heat to have a chance at actually winning this series, you're going to need Tyler Hero to average about 25 points. Something that then you're going to need a couple games out of him where he gives you 30, 35, 37, where he goes nuts, where he's one of them guys that's going to be that becomes unguardable. Do I see that happening against Holiday? Absolutely not. But if he can do it, that would be their chance. But I like Milwaukee in 5. We know what Milwaukee is. Milwaukee is a good team. Do they need Middleton? Yes. But do they need Middleton to beat the Miami Heat? I don't think so. But Butler is going to, listen to me, Butler's your dog. We all know it. So it's still going to be some good games, some interesting games down the stretch in this series. But I just think Milwaukee's going to be too much. To me, probably the most interesting series in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland versus New York. Now, even when New York win, somehow they find a way to lose. Now, Julius Randle is not playing in this first game. I don't know if Julius Randle is playing in the series at all. But you got the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks get Jalen Brunson. That's a win. They get the 5th seed. That's a win. They get to the playoffs, and Julius Randle is hurt. That's a L. And you got Cleveland, who made the biggest blockbuster trade in the offseason, getting Donovan Mitchell. This is going to be a great series to watch. The Knicks fans are fantastic to watch on TV, to see the energy inside of the Garden, because they want the Knicks to win so desperately at this point, because it's been so long. It's been since Allen Houston and them boys, since the Knicks been worth a lottie-dot at this point. When they had Carmelo, that was a big flop, basically. That never really worked out, never panned out. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they got Mobley. Mobley is also in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. He's been sensational this year. Him and Donovan Mitchell, they got a lot of young talent for the Cleveland Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, what's the point guard name? God damn it, escaped my mind. I'm sorry, you guys, but the point guard they got, he's an all-star. They have a lot. Even the center they have a really good center. Overall, Cleveland has a really good team. I just think the New York Knicks is snake bitten. I don't think the Knicks can beat Cleveland. I got Cleveland winning this in 5 games. I think they're going to take care of the Knicks. But the Knicks will come to fight. Jalen Brunson showed last year. He's playoff ready now. This is going to be interesting. Now, if Jalen Brunson can pick this team up and lift this team up past Cleveland, what a feat. He will become an instant hero in New York. You can bet your bottom dollar. Especially his dad used to play for the Knicks. Now he's a Knick, and he's had a hell of a season. And now if he can lift this up past Cleveland, it will be something to behold. I can't wait to watch this series. It's going to be fun to watch. But I got Cleveland in 5. They snake bitten. 76ers versus Brooklyn. Brooklyn being in the playoffs over the Dallas Mavericks is unbelievable. But that's sports. Brooklyn was able to hold it together. And mind you, Ben Simmons never even played. What's wrong with him? I have no idea. At this point, he seems a little stir crazy. But nevertheless, the Brooklyn Nets were still able to get the 6th seed. That is a hell of an accomplishment without Kevin Durant and without Kyrie Irving. And I talked about that earlier in the season. I was like, if them 2 guys would have stayed, they could have won the championship in Brooklyn this year. That team was really built extremely well. Kyrie Irving threw it all away. It came to Dallas, which I was happy about, but I was never completely sold on it. But I did like the opportunity that he was coming to Dallas, and hopefully it will work out. But the Brooklyn Nets, they've impressed me. With Mikal Bridges coming to Brooklyn, he's really been showing out. But they're playing against an MVP candidate in Joel Embiid. They got James Harden. They got Maxey. This team is absolutely loaded. There's no way in God's hell that they're going to beat the 76ers unless Joel Embiid gets hurt. Now, we know Joel Embiid will grab for a knee or ankle or back at any moment. So that is their chance. But This should be a sweep. I like the 76ers in a sweep over Brooklyn. Maybe Brooklyn can squeeze out and win a game. Mikal Bridges goes nuts one game at home in Brooklyn, but 76ers should sweep this series. James Harden should give you 24, 8 and 8. Maxey should come off, give you 21, 3 and 5, some shit like that. And Embiid should just completely dominate, giving you 30, 10 and 5 and 2 or 3 blocks. He should dominate this series, and it should be a wash. Then you have this final game of the Eastern Conference Series. You have the Boston Celtics versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks overcame a lot of adversity this year. They looked like they had completely fell apart, and they had no chance in hell of making the playoffs at one point in the season. But they were able to hold it together enough with Trae Young, even though they said they gave the organization gave the management permission to trade Trae Young at this point, so we don't know where that's going. But Boston is going to crush these guys. Yes, Trae Young and those guys, they might squeeze a game out, maybe, but I still like Boston in a sweep, period, point blank. Something's telling me Atlanta might can win a game, but my pick, Boston in 4, on to the next round. I don't have to go into depth about Boston. Boston is a championship contender with Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They just have a really good team at this point, and this should be another wash for the Boston Celtics, y'all. But I just wanted to go over these playoffs, give you a playoff preview of my predictions. The next round I will be going in a series by series, and do an individual review on each preview on each series in the playoffs in the next round. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Samuel Koppel. This has been Sports, Life, and Politics TV. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. I just took your ass. It's time for the playoffs ride. Peace.